Hello, everybody. So, welcome to this extreme, drastic change in scenery. This isn't my typical filming location. I am in the Dolomites right now, on an actual hike, and I reached the top, and I did a lot of things that were outside my comfort zone today, and I walked on the side of many cliffs, and I'm actually kind of afraid of heights, but like not if I'm hooked in. Like if I'm rock climbing or via ferrating, I'm okay. But it's like, I trust the equipment, but I don't trust myself. So I need to learn to trust myself, because that's when I have trouble, is when I just have to rely on my legs. Anyways, I thought it would be fun if I read some chapters from my new favorite book at the moment. First let me just show you the view. It's pretty intense. I was up there and I was nervous, and then I came back down here, and now I'm gonna read you. I hear a drone. Don't you like the ambiance? Isn't it relaxing? Okay. There's a piece of grass right there. Okay. So the book that I'm going to be reading to you right now is The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I found a chapter that I thought would be fitting for this location specifically, and then a few other ones that follow. So, this is called Nature as Teacher. Of all the great works that we can experience, nature is the most absolute and endearing. We can witness it change through the seasons. We can see it in the mountains, the oceans, the deserts, and the forest. We can watch the changes of the moon each night and the relationship between the moon and the stars. There is never a shortage of awe and inspiration to be found outdoors. If we dedicated our lives solely to noticing changes in natural light and shadow as the hours pass, we would constantly discover something new. We don't have to understand nature to appreciate it. This is true for all things. Simply be aware of moments when your breath gets taken away by something of great beauty. My breath is taken away by this great beauty. It may be witnessing a single line formation of birds snaking through a half-lit evening sky, or standing awed at the foot of a giant redwood tree that's thousands of years old. There's so much wisdom in nature that when we notice it, it awakens possibility within us. It is through communing with nature that we move closer to our own nature. If you're picking colors based on a Pantone book, you're limited to a certain number of choices. If you step out in nature, the palette is infinite. Each rock has such a variation of color within it. We could never find a can of paint to mimic that exact same shade. Nature transcends our tendencies to label and classify, to reduce and limit. The natural world is unfathomable, more rich, interwoven, and complicated than we are taught, and so much more mysterious and beautiful. Deepening our connection to nature will serve our spirit, and what serves our spirit invariably serves our artistic output. The closer we can get to the natural world, the sooner we start to realize we are not separate, and that when we create, we are not just expressing our unique individuality, but our seamless connection to an infinite oneness. The second chapter that I'm reading for you is called Nothing is Static. The world is always changing. You can engage in the same awareness practice 5 days in a row in the same location and have a unique experience each time. Different sounds and different smells may be present. No two gusts of wind feel quite the same. The tone and quality of sunlight changes from minute to minute and day to day. Within the richness of nature, the variations are easily noticeable. Some are shouts, others whispers. Even if an element seems static, whether a work of art in a museum or an everyday object in a kitchen, when we look at it deeply, we can see a newness. We recognize aspects unnoticed before. Reread the same book over and over, and will likely find new themes, undercurrents, details, and connections. You can't step into the same stream twice because it's always flowing. Everything is. The world is constantly changing, so no matter how often we practice paying attention, there will always be something new to notice. It's up to us to find it. Likewise, we are always changing, growing, evolving. We learn and forget things. We move through different moods, thoughts, and unconscious processes. The cells in our body die and regenerate. No one is the same person all day long. Even if the world outside were to remain static, the information we took in would still be ever changing. and so too with the work we bring forth. I moved spots. I walked a little bit up to this nice grassy field because I wanted you to see other types of scenery too. And I have to start making the trek back soon. But before I do that, one more chapter. This one is called Look Inward. The sound of water churning as the distance is inaudible. I feel a breeze of what might be warm air, though it's difficult to tell since my arm hair senses the movement as cooling. 2 birds are singing, and with my eyes closed, I'm placing them approximately 50 paces behind me and to my right. Now, smaller bird, at least one with a smaller and higher pitched chirp, enters the soundscape behind me to the left. From the rhythmic interplay, it seems clear that the birds are not in conversation. Each sings its song of its own. I notice the sound of a passing vehicle, and in the distance, children's voices. A blur of rhythmic music arrives from the far left. There is an itch on the left side of my face, just in front of my ear. A vehicle with a larger, heavier sound passes, and a bit of jazz music makes an appearance much closer to my position. Only now do I realize I turned it on earlier at a quiet volume, and it had been inaudible until this moment. Someone arrives, I open my eyes, and it all goes away. It's common to believe that life is a series of external experiences, and that we must live an outwardly extraordinary life in order to have something to share. The experience of our inner world is often completely overlooked. If we focus on what's going on inside ourselves, sensations, emotions, the pattern of our thoughts, a wealth of material can be found. Our inner world is every bit as interesting, beautiful, and surprising as nature itself. It is, after all, born of nature. When we go inside, we are processing what's going on outside. We're no longer separate. We're connected. We are one. Ultimately, it doesn't make a difference whether your content originates on the inside or the outside. If a beautiful thought or phrase comes to mind, or if you see a beautiful sunset, one's not better than the other. Both are equally beautiful in different ways. It's helpful to consider there are always more options available to us than we might realize. And that concludes my reading in the Dolomites video. This video is a little bit shorter than I'd like, but the sun is setting and I have to go. But I love you, you're amazing, you're wonderful. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm happy that I got to share this with you. Let me give you one last look. Awesome. Wait, I'm gonna show you over this hill because it's magnificent. Ready? We're walking. We're running. Ta-da! Crazy, right? Okay, now I have to go. Bye-bye.